So welcome. I know it's a very difficult time in Afghanistan. So I'm glad you're here, and I look forward to answering all your questions.
सर मेरा नाम सलमान जावेद है और मैं इस पाक अफगान यूथ फोरम को लुक आफ्टर कर रहा हूँ और पर्पज़ इसका ये था कि पब्लिक डिप्लोमेसी की डोमेन के अंदर हम लोग इंटरेक्ट करना शुरू करें लोगों के साथ और उसके अंदर हमने एक मीडिया कॉरिडोर जो है उसको हमने इस्टेब्लिश करने की कोशिश की थी जिसके अंदर हम मीडिया फ्रेटर्निटी जो है दोनों साइड की उसको इंटरेक्ट कराने की कोशिश करें। तो पिछले 11 महीने में हमने 3 मीडिया इंटरेक्शंस की हैं, दिस इज़ द थर्ड वन। और इसके अंदर अब हम अफगानिस्तान से जो उनके टॉप टियर के और सेकंड टियर के जो जर्नलिस्ट हैं उनको यहाँ लाने में कामयाब हुए हैं।
زمانم رابعه سرات خبریال اليوم.
Thank you, sir, for your time. My name is Muhammad Ibrahim Oman, and I'm sports journalist.
من از احسان راست حاکم د افغانستان راغلم د خبریالان و ډله کې د کابل نیوز تلویزیون د خبر منیجر یم.
Salam. My name is Ali Akmal. I am a journalist in Afghanistan, and good to see you.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Farid Azim. I am the director of Afghan Cinema Association.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Irfanullah and I represent business community and I'm industrialist in Kabul.
Assalamu alaikum, sir. My name is Dr. Salma Malik. I am a teacher at Qaid-e-Azam University, Islamabad. I am part of the mentor group of the PEYO.
Assalamu alaikum ji. I am Dr. Shabana Fiaz. I am heading the Defense and Strategic Studies Department, Qaid-e-Azam University, and I'm also part of the Pak Afghan group.
Assalamu alaikum, sir. My name is Shahid Khan. I'm the member of the Pak Afghan Youth Forum, and I'm coordinator for the Afghanistan at Pak Afghan Youth Forum.
Assalamu alaikum, sir. I am Reema Shaukat, and I am part of Pak Afghan Youth Forum. I am looking after the media and outreach in Pakistan for Pak Afghan Youth Forum.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Shugfa Siddiqui. I am director of ZAN TV in Afghanistan.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Asad Kosha. I am the chief editor of Kabul now.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Zahra Siddiqui. I am presenter for Ariana News TV.
Assalamu alaikum. Zamanum Freidundi, the Tulun News Khabariyalim.
Thank you for having us. It's an honor to be here. I'm Shahrazad Kufi. I am director of a non-for-profit organization in Afghanistan. I'm also a coordinator with the Pakistan Afghanistan Youth Forum.
Assalamu alaikum. Mirwais Nuri, I'm a Afghan journalist. The Afghanistan News Bansatgund Madbati Masul.
Okay ji. कौन questions करेगा?
One question is that this is injected in Afghanistan, in the people of Afghanistan, that India and Pakistan are part of the problems in Afghanistan. So have you ever tried this president or government of these 3 countries to sit together? I haven't seen anything like this. We have bilateral visits, but I didn't see any trilateral meeting India, Pakistan, and Afghanistan. And my second question is about sports. You are iconic in the region. There is any plan of sports activities from Pakistan side in Afghanistan, because you have implemented so many projects in Afghanistan, but nothing about sports yet?
The issue with India. The problem we face with India is that on the 5th August 2019, India unilaterally discarded the United Nations Security Council resolution and took away the statehood of Kashmir. Now, in 1948, there were 2 resolutions that the people of Kashmir, through a plebiscite, they would decide whether they want to be part of India or Pakistan. Since that right was not given to them, the people of Kashmir have since then struggled to get that right, and Pakistan has backed them. But on 5th August 2019, India took away that statehood, that special status of Kashmir. So from then onwards, Pakistan has broken off all diplomatic relationship with India. And unfortunately, until they restore that statehood, we cannot really have a trilateral talk, which means India, Pakistan, and Afghanistan. I have been to Afghanistan. I have good relationship with President Ghani, and our own relationship has been very good, except that recently there have been statements from Afghanistan which basically accuse Pakistan of what is happening there. And it's very unfortunate because we feel that no country has tried harder than Pakistan to force the Taliban to get on the dialogue table, first with the Americans and then trying to get them on a dialogue table with the Afghan government. But no country has tried as hard as we have. And this has been verified by the focal person, the United States focal person, Zalmay Khalilzad. Sports. Frankly, I haven't had time for sports in these last 3 years. There have been so many other issues. But what I can say is that I don't think any country, I know the history of cricketing world, no country in such a short space of time has improved in cricket as Afghanistan. It is, someone who understands cricket, I can tell you this is unheard of. Countries that have reached the status of Afghanistan have been playing cricket for 70 years. The Afghanistan cricketers have basically learned their cricket in the refugee camps here, which is last 40 years, so it's remarkable.
تا چی حد میان حکومت ملکی پاکستان و حکومت نظامی پاکستان توافق وجود داره؟ به خاطر از اینکه بارها حکومت ملکی پاکستان از افغانستان حمایت خود اعلام کرده و گفته ما امرایشان همکاری میکنیم، ولی در عمل چون این چیز نبوده. امی سوال است. تشکر.
There is a feeling in Afghanistan, and unfortunately this feeling is deliberately being perpetuated by India, that Pakistan is controlled by the military establishment. All the policies, foreign policies that my government has made have been part of a manifesto. They have been part of a manifesto for the past 25 years. Whatever foreign policy I have had has been part of my party's manifesto. So I always believed that there was no military solution in Afghanistan. I always believed that eventually there will have to be a political settlement in Afghanistan. It's exactly what I have been saying for 15 years, what I've been saying since I've been in government for the last 3 years. The Pakistan army fully supports the government. I always wanted to have peace with India. The Pakistan army has fully backed all my initiatives towards India for peace. It's India that refuses to have peace because India today is controlled by the RSS ideology, which is anti-Pakistan and anti-Muslim. And it is shown in what they have done in Kashmir. And if all you have to do is see what happens in India to the Muslims, the cow vigilantes who kill Muslims in the streets never get convicted because they are supposed to have eaten cow. And the suffering which especially Muslims, but also other minorities like Christians, they feel because of this Hinduvta, RSS ideology. That is what is coming in the way of us peace with India. So, but the Pakistan army has stood by my government in every way. There is no difference. So, now we come to Afghanistan. The country, and I repeat, the country that of all the countries in the world wants peace in Afghanistan is Pakistan. Why? Because number one, if there's peace in Afghanistan, then Pakistan is connected right up to the Central Asia. We have already signed a contract, signed an agreement with Uzbekistan for the Mazar Sharif Peshawar Railway through Afghanistan. So all our future economic strategies depend upon peace in Afghanistan. That's number one. Number two, the people of Pakistan always think of people of Afghanistan as probably, if not neighbors, as our brothers. And they have suffered for 40 years of strife. And so we feel that if any country needs peace and quiet, it's Afghanistan. Thirdly, if this civil war goes on between the government and Taliban, it will almost certainly spill over to Pakistan's tribal areas. And we have really, in the last time when we joined the American War on Terror, and as a result, we had the American War on Terror spilled onto Pakistan's tribal area. 70,000 Pakistanis were killed in that. So last thing we want is that civil war spilling over into Pakistan, which it will do if it is a protracted civil war. And finally, we already have 3 million Afghan refugees. We cannot afford, if there's civil war, there will be more refugees coming in. And Pakistan does not have the economic conditions to, to have another influx of refugees. So it is in our interest, and that is why Pakistan has tried its best, is trying its best for a political solution in Afghanistan.
Thank you so much for your time. سوال من این هست که میخوایم پرسان بکنم در ارتباط به حملاتی که فعلا طالبان در ولسوالی‌های افغانستان انجام میتن و کارهایی که اینا انجام میتن وارد خانه‌های افغان میشن. آیا از نظر شما این گروه کارهایشان چگونه است؟ غیر انسانی هست یا گروه تروریستی هستند طالبان؟ آیا اینا شما میپذیرین؟ و دیگه ای که در این اواخر آیا اجساد پاکستانی را شما کشور پاکستان دریافت کردن از افغانستان تسلیم شده باشند؟ نظرتان در این ارتباط چی هست؟ و با چنین شرایط نتیجه روند صلح در افغانستان شما چگونه میبینین من حیث یک کشور خیلی نزدیک بر افغانستان؟ تشکر.
First, what the Taliban are doing or not doing has nothing to do with us. You have to speak to Taliban about what they're doing. We're not responsible. Neither are we some spokespersons for Taliban. But you have two choices. 20 years, a military solution has been attempted to bring peace to Afghanistan, and that's failed. Now you have a choice. Either this American-backed military solution, you can continue, because if you feel the Taliban are not someone you want to have in part of your government, you can keep on the course of a military solution. But everyone knows it's not possible anymore. The second solution is to have a government, a political compromise between the Taliban and the government, to have a compromise, an inclusive government. That is the only solution. Now, what the Taliban are doing or not doing has nothing to do with us. All we want is that there should be peace in Afghanistan. Pakistan's interest is peace there. There are 3 million Afghan refugees in Pakistan. Almost all of them are Pashtuns. And all of them, or most of them, would have sympathies with Taliban. How is Pakistan supposed to check who is going over there to fight or not when there are about 25,000-30,000 people who cross every year, every day? They go into Afghanistan and come back. How is Pakistan going to check that? So Pakistan has consistently said that if the Afghan refugees go back to Afghanistan, then hold us responsible. But if there are 3 million refugees here, how can we say few hundred or few people have gone there to fight and their bodies are coming back? How can Pakistan be held responsible? There are refugee camps of 500,000 people. There are refugees with over 100,000 people. So how is Pakistan going to go into the refugee camps and decide who is pro-Taliban and who is not? So it's not possible unless, and let me just say the other thing, that until recently there was no border between Pakistan and Afghanistan. The Durand line was just imaginary. There was no physical border. So to stop, to control the outflow and inflow into Pakistan, we have built this fence at a huge cost to Pakistan. We have completed 90% of the fence now. So for the first time you have a border fence. Before that there was no border anywhere. Durand line was no border. So we are trying our best, but it is not possible to hold Pakistan responsible when you have over 3 million refugees here. What interest could possibly Pakistan have in a civil war in Afghanistan? What interest would Pakistan have in backing someone to take over Afghanistan? What is clear is that no one party will be able to take over Afghanistan. So if Taliban try to take over Afghanistan, it will just be an ongoing civil war. In the past, Pakistan did have an interest. In the 90s, Pakistan had an interest. And why did Pakistan have interest? Because Pakistan had this policy of strategic depth. What was strategic depth? Pakistan was always wary of Indian influence in Afghanistan, and Pakistan did not want to have a situation where it was fighting on two fronts. So Eastern Front, India, and then Afghanistan also became pro-India. So in those days, Pakistan did try to have favorites. They backed favorites. Now, and especially my government, we believe that Afghanistan can never be controlled from outside. Afghanistan has a history. Throughout history, Afghans are the most independent people. So you can't control Afghanistan from outside. So our government's policy is, whoever the people of Afghanistan choose, Pakistan will have best relationship with them. So we have no favorites now. We do not have that old policy of the 90s of strategic depth anymore.
زه دوه لاندې پوښتنې لرم. یو تاسو ولسمشر غني سره په ازبکستان کې لیدلی وو او وروسته د هغې د افغانستان او پاکستان اړیکې خرابه شوې. دغه لیدنو کې تاسو څه وویل؟ او بل د سلسله لیخیل په اسلام آباد کې برامته شوه. د هغې قضیې په اړه که معلومات ورکړئ چې دغه د چا لخوا اختطاف شوې وه، برامته شوې وه، ولې برامته شوې وه او د څه دلیل له مخې؟ ډېره مننه.
First thing is that whatever I'm telling you, I told President Ghani. I told him that Pakistan, President Ghani felt that, we should try and stop the people going across. We told them that we can have a joint, we will have a joint inspection. You tell us where people are crossing, we will take action. We assured him about that. Because we know that all the fighting people, if half of Afghanistan is with Taliban, what would they be doing in Pakistan? They talked about families of Afghans, of Taliban in Pakistan. The question is, should Pakistan put their families in jail? What is Pakistan supposed to do with their families if they are here? And then, if there are few Taliban leaders who have families here, the only leverage we have is because of that. The reason why they actually had talks with the Americans and Pakistan was able to make them have talks with the Americans was because of this leverage. If you put them in jail or if you take action against them, that leverage goes. But more importantly, I got the impression that somehow the Afghan government feels that we should take some sort of a military action against, force whoever the Afghan or, who the few pro-Taliban people or Taliban leaders are here. But so number one, we will do everything, but we will not use military force anymore in Pakistan. As I said last time, we were fighting someone else's war and we ended up 70,000 Pakistanis were killed. So there is a consensus in Pakistan that we will not use military action. Short of military action, we will try our best. How much ever pressure they want us to put on the Taliban, we will, because it is in our interest there's peace in Afghanistan. But we will not use military means. We are clear in Pakistan about that. The ambassador. So, we have detailed now through the Safe City cameras, we have detailed, charted out the exact path taken by the daughter of the ambassador. And, the taxi drivers, the taxis which the ambassador's daughter took, we got through the cameras, we got the numbers of the taxis, we called those people up, they've all been interrogated. They have, so unfortunately the explanation doesn't tally what the ambassador's daughter says and what the cameras show, where she says that she was put in a taxi and taken away and they was beaten up. But there is a picture of that taxi, and she's sitting there, and she's fine. And the driver was called up, and the police officer. So unfortunately, we didn't get the answers because the police has now all the record, charted all the areas where she went, and it doesn't tally with what her accounts are. There's a discrepancy there. And unfortunately, they went back, so we have no way of confirming what happened. But the account of the ambassador's daughter does not tally with all the cameras which show her going into the 3 different taxis. The taxi drivers were interviewed, got into the police station. It does not match there.
Sir,
Yeah.
Afghan government has requested for a team to visit Pakistan for sharing this investigation, and we have conveyed our confidence for that team to visit next week.
So you heard that there's a team coming from Afghanistan. We will give them all the information they want. We will give them the pictures from the safe city cameras, exactly the movements, and so that they can go and ask the questions to the daughter when they go back.
بخیر تشکر از این میکنم که فرصت گذاشتین وقت گذاشتین بر ما. میخوایم سوال داشته باشم در قسمت پروسه صلح افغانستان. این که پاکستان بارها گفته که ما در قسمت پروسه صلح با افغانستان صادق هستیم و همکار هستیم. پس مراکز مشورتی طالبان فعلا در قلمرو پاکستان نشان دهنده چی است؟ تشکر.
We have consistently asked the Afghan government to tell us where these shuras are and where the hubs are, supposedly where the Taliban are supposed to be. You know, we kept hearing about this when the Americans were conducting operations. There were drone attacks in the tribal areas. Americans were, killing people through drones. So why didn't they spot this Quetta Shura and so on? Because we've always asked them to tell us where this Quetta Shura and so on. The thing is, if the Taliban meet within the Afghan refugee camps, as I said, one of the refugee camps is over 500,000 people. There's another is 100,000 people and so on. So it's not easy for Pakistan to tell them exactly, who's coming and where. This has been asked over and over again, and let me just, in the end, say one thing. The reason why 150,000 NATO troops, the greatest military machine in the history of mankind, the reason why they did not succeed in Afghanistan has nothing to do with Pakistan. It's exactly what the Americans did in Vietnam. When they failed in Vietnam, they blamed, some insurgents from Cambodia or Laos, and they actually bombed Cambodia and completely destabilized Cambodia. But they still didn't make any difference. We were told at one point that the Taliban main sanctuaries were in North Waziristan. They kept pushing us that we should take action in North Waziristan. Finally, after 4 or 5 years, Pakistan actually took action in North Waziristan. 1 million people were internally displaced from North Waziristan when Pakistan took action. 1 million people were displaced. Some Pakistani soldiers lost their lives. The whole area was cleared. But what difference did it make? This was in 2014. It made no difference at all. Nothing happened. I mean, it's not that suddenly the NATO troops won the war in Afghanistan. Nothing happened. So, this blaming for a flawed strategy, surely the Americans should have started talking to the Taliban from a position of strength. When there are 150,000 NATO troops, that was the time to talk to them. Talking to them when there's an exit date given and when there are a few thousand troops left, how do they expect that Taliban would now compromise? The time to make them compromise or a political settlement was when they were in a position of strength. Half the Afghanistan is in Taliban hand. Why do they need Pakistan now?
که امریکا له تاسو نه غوښتنه وکړي چې د پاکستان له خاورې د افغانستان په خاوره کې پوځي عملیات وکړي، آیا تاسو د پوځي عملیاتو یا هوایي عملیاتو اجازه ورکوئ؟ او دویم سوال، د افغانستان او پاکستان دا روابط چې اوس خراب شوي د دې عواقب تاسو څنګه ارزوئ؟
Now my question is that what will the Americans achieve operating from Pakistan what they could not achieve in 20 years operating from Afghanistan? I don't know. If someone can convince me that suddenly it would make a big difference and there will be peace in Afghanistan by them operating from Pakistan, maybe we would consider it. But what they haven't achieved in 20 years, how do they expect to achieve right now from Pakistan, having bases there? All it will do is, it will involve Pakistan in a conflict which Pakistan has nothing to do with it. So why would we want another conflict on our hands when already when we were fighting the US war on terror, we lost 70,000 people, over $150 billion lost to the economy. Why would we want to get ourselves in another conflict? So that's the reason why Pakistan sees absolutely no reason for them to have bases and operating from within Pakistan. Future relationship with Afghanistan, I see our relations between the two countries will get stronger with every passing year. And the reason is that Afghanistan needs Pakistan, Pakistan needs Afghanistan. No country would benefit more from open borders than Pakistan and Afghanistan, because Pakistan would benefit from access to Central Asian markets. They are emerging markets, they are growing very quickly. There's energy corridor as Afghanistan from Central Asia, so we will gain from it. And Afghanistan, of course, has a huge Pakistani market of 220 million people, and then a port, Gwadar port, and of course, Port Qasim. So it's a mutually beneficial relationship. And people don't realize that Afghanistan was part of Pakistan and India for a long time. And then there was a time when what is Pakistan, North Pakistan, was part of Afghanistan for 70, 80 years. So there's a strong linkages between the two countries. And I think that once this the situation calms down in Afghanistan, and which we pray it calms down very quickly, then I think we will have probably the best years of our relationship.
नॉर्मली मैं किसी मीडिया का जर्नलिस्ट नहीं हूँ, मैं सिनेमा से ताल्लुक़ रखता हूँ, तो इसीलिए हम सोशल में बहुत काम करते हैं। और अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह ये जो रवाबत अभी तक अब ख़राब हो चुका है पॉलिटिक्स से, सोशल पे कोई असर नहीं डाला है। अभी भी हम इधर आ सकते हैं, उधर लोग काम करते हैं पाकिस्तान से। बट मेरे शख्सी एक ही सवाल है, जो जब से मैं पैदा हुआ हूँ हर बार मुझे ये कहा गया है कि पाकिस्तान के पास एक परेशानी है अफ़गानिस्तान से। फिर मैं यूनिवर्सिटी गया और उधर मेरे को बुला गया कि ये परेशानी दाऊद खान के ज़माने से शुरू हुआ है। मैं ये जानना चाहता हूँ कि ये कौन सा परेशानी है जब इतनी साल ख़त्म नहीं हो रहा है। थैंक यू।
देखिए, जो मुल्कों के अंदर रिलेशनशिप होती है ना, वो कभी भी एक जगह पे जाके नहीं अड़ जाती। वो चेंजेबल है, डायनामिक चीज़ है। एक ऐसी है कि कई दफ़ा शख्सियत दो आ जाती है मुल्क में, रिलेशनशिप बेहतर हो जाती है, और एक शख्सियत कभी ऐसे हेड्स ऑफ स्टेट आते हैं कि उनकी रिलेशनशिप ख़राब हो जाती है। कई दफ़ा इंटरेस्ट बदल जाते हैं, एक मुल्क का एकदम इंटरेस्ट बदल जाता है। लेकिन जो बेसिक चीज़ अफ़गानिस्तान और पाकिस्तान में है वो कि देखिए, एक तारीख़ है, कई 100 साल की तारीख़ है जो यहाँ ये सारे ख़त्े में इंटरेक्शन था। ये जो पेशावर था ये सेंटर था, काबुल सेंटर होता था, सारे सिल्क रूट थी, ये यहाँ से सारा जाता था हिंदुस्तान, उधर से आते थे, फिर कंदहार से रूट थी मुल्तान के ज़रिए। ये पुरानी ट्रेड रूट्स हैं और पुरानी रिलेशनशिप्स हैं। कितनी अफ़गान फैमिलीज़ वहाँ से आई, पाकिस्तान सेटल हो गई। मेरी सारी माँ और बाप की कबीले सारे अफ़गानिस्तान से आए थे, यहाँ सारे हिंदुस्तान में सेटल हो गए कितने 100 साल पहले। तो ये इंटरेक्शन हमेशा रहा है। इसमें कभी कभी برا وقت آتا ہے. افغانستان کا انٹرسٹ ہو گیا سوویٹ سے, پاکستان کا انٹرسٹ چلا گیا امریکہ کے ساتھ, اس کے اندر ہماری ریلیشن شپ خراب ہو گئی. پھر آئی حکومت, افغانستان کا ہندوستان کے ساتھ قریبی ہو گیا, تو ظاہر ہے پاکستان سے خراب ہونی تھی ریلیشن شپ. لیکن لانگ ٹرم ریلیشن شپ, نیچرل ریلیشن شپ ہے ہی پاکستان اور افغانستان کی. اوکے جی, تھینک یو.